Welcome, everybody, to the Pfeiffer Women's Basketball Coaches Show, and I'm here with head coach Jill Thomas of the Pfeiffer Women's Basketball Team, and I'm Charles Curcio from the Stanley News and Press. Coach, let's talk a little bit about, we'll start with Converse, a tough game on the road. Tell us a little bit about that game, 71-67 loss.
All right, well, thanks for having me again, Charles. It's been a while, so we got a few games to catch up on here. Starting with Converse, that's just one of those games we just couldn't make a shot. I mean, and, when we're cold, our entire team decides to go cold. It's not like, especially with Brittany Cox and Christina Harvey being our leading scorers, they kind of are on together and off together. And it was just one of those nights, and everyone joined them on being off. And Converse played well. They did very well. They played hard for 40 minutes, and they just made some shots that we just couldn't do on our end.
And when you hold a team to 45% shooting, you just expect that you're going to be, in that game, but then you can't shoot 41, obviously, like you're saying. Yeah. But then you followed that up with a wonderful game against Queens, and I have to say, just personally, that was one of the most enjoyable games sitting at courtside in the last few years I've seen. Just absolutely. I have not seen the Pfeiffer women shoot as well as they did. They were on fire from everywhere, especially the three-point line in that game. Talk us through that game.
Yeah, I believe we were 70% from three.
In the first half. Absolutely, yes.
It kind of goes along with, again, when we're all on together. And, that was just one of those nights. And I agree with you. That was the most enjoyable game I've been a part of since I've taken over this program. It was a great environment. There were tons of people in the stands. Obviously, it's a rival game with Queens. And it was just so exciting. That team played together. Our bench was into it. And that was the biggest difference in that Queens game. We had a bench. We had people coming off and giving us great minutes, whether if it was 1 minute to 10 minutes to 20, they were all in that game together.
Shelly Reese gives you 11 points off the bench. Christina Harvey had just one of her absolute best games, 8 of 10 shooting. She finished with 25. She's really starting to develop as a player.
She is. She's just so fun to watch play. She's one of those kids who is in the gym all day, loves individual workouts, and she's just a great kid. And we really would like, I always joke with her about, you had any friends? Because I'd like about 15 of you on my team. She's just a really good kid, a great leader, and just works hard. And I'm really happy to see the success she's getting a little bit this year.
And obviously that win gave you guys a lot of momentum going into St. Andrews, an 84-55 win over the Knights. Talk to us about that game a little bit.
That was a good game for us. Defensively, we finally really got things going. Before that game, I had asked them to set a goal of what they would like to hold that team to, because that's kind of been our problem sometimes is even when we're on offensively, we need to play better defense consistently.
Sure.
And we really stepped up that game. I believe we only had 9 turnovers. It was one of those other games where our bench was fantastic. We had a lot of people coming off. Our starting 5 was all on together again, and it was definitely enjoyable.
And you held St. Andrews to 32% shooting, and that just goes along with that, including 28% in the first half, and that's got to feel very good to see that kind of defensive effort after having such a good offensive effort the game before.
Absolutely. And it's been our battle all year. We continue to try and be consistent, 40-minute basketball. And I would say Queens and St. Andrews were both 40-minute basketball games. As we move forward to the next game, we didn't quite do that.
Right.
But again, we're every day we want to get a little bit better and continue to work towards those 40-minute games. And with Queens and St. Andrews, we did it. So it's definitely in there for us.
Well, conference play is always difficult, no matter really what conference you play in. Your conference opponents are always going to be a little more difficult, I think, just because from the fact that you're more familiar with them, you play them a lot. It's so much more meaningful games than non-conference games, and when you going on the road anywhere is difficult, and Belmont Abbey is no exception. Talk to us about that. It was a 62-54 loss for you guys,
which in the end ended up looking really good. But I mean, we were ice cold. And again, I go back to Brittany and Christina were just very cold together, and so we've been joking with them all week about, can you guys decide on which night you're cold and which night you're cold, and
they switch off a little
or both
bit.
Be hot every night. That'd be great too. Right. But it was just one of those games that nothing would fall for us offensively. Defensively, we weren't that bad. I mean, we held them to 33 points and a half, which is pretty typical. But, you know, you can't score 16 and then fight your way back to a good team like Belmont. Belmont's very well coached. They probably play harder than any team. They may not be the most talented team in our conference, but they play the hardest basketball.
You got 2 games this week coming up. Coker tomorrow night, and then on Wednesday night, and then Converse on Saturday. And I know that you guys are just itching to get at Converse again because of the first game. Let's talk about Coker first. What do you anticipate in that game?
Coker's going to be a good matchup. They are playing very well. They have a new coach this year, and she's got them very motivated. They're playing very hard. They remind me a little bit like Belmont Abbey. There's not maybe a true stud on that team, but they have 5 individuals who play very hard. It's going to be a battle. You know, we're going to need to shoot the ball well, and it's at home, so we're hoping, you know, that will be the case. But, I mean, we just got to defend for 40 minutes against Coker. They're a very scrappy team. You know, they're one of those no shot's a bad shot type team, and we need to be ready to defend for 40 minutes. It's the last game of first round of play, so we kind of need to go out with a W and get ourselves prepared then for Saturday's game with Converse finally at our place. And
what kind of adjustments do you need to make, do you think, against Converse?
I don't know if we will. I actually was talking to my assistant earlier today. I don't even know if we'll scout it, watch the film. You guys remember that day.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do,
Sure.
and I think that may be the best option for us at this point. Just go play. Have fun and do what you need to do.
There you go, folks. I'm Charles Kershaw from the Stanley News and Press. Coach, thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
This has been the Jill Thomas Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.